Hello, everyone. Amanda with heArt Studios. So we are visiting different people from around the country who are passionate about the arts. And for those of you watching who don't know, heArt Studios is a newly launched organization in Nashville that exists to break the generational cycles of abuse and trauma by transforming the heart through creative expression. And we are doing so by partnering with different artists ready to share their talents with youth impacted by domestic violence and trauma. And we have with us today two women who are shining examples of empowering through artistic expression. And I can't wait to see where this meeting goes, because Mandy and Carly, if you follow them on any of the Instagrams or any of the socials, if you're not laughing, you're crying, because they're just hysterical for one. But two, they are just extremely gifted in what they do.
Hello, Mandy McMillan and Carly Kale. I'm currently up in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, so I'm so excited. International here. But Carly is one of my best friends down in Nashville, and we met initially through music. I'm an artist, and Carly works more on the industry side, but has also been bringing out her creativeness through the past couple of years, which is very exciting. And a few years ago, we kind of teamed up and thought we wanted to bring more inspiration to the world. So we started a podcast called the Dreamcatcher Pod, and we have been releasing episodes for about a year, just over a year now. And it has been such a beautiful journey. So we're so excited to be here, like chatting with you and getting to experience your journey and catching your dream, and then helping others to catch theirs. So,
and like Mandy said, music is a huge part of both of our lives, and we both moved to Nashville to pursue, the music industry. And I think we both see it as a way to heal and use it to help others. And so when we started the podcast, Mandy came to me with this idea, and I was like, Mandy, I freaking love it. She's like, I want to do this where we interview people who are chasing their dreams. I want to inspire others. And I had told her, I was like, Mandy, I've literally had that almost same idea for a podcast. I just called it something different. And she was like, well, I want to do Dreamcatcher Pod. She has an amazing song called Dreamcatcher. And so everything kind of just flowed together. And honestly, like, it has been it's been one of the best experiences of my life. And Mandy has truly helped me, and along with the podcast, like in my spiritual journey and my self-love journey, and really truly finding what I'm passionate about too, because the reason we started it is we wanted to make a difference and we wanted to inspire people. We just didn't know how to go about it. And then the podcast kind of just came to life, and now we're definitely helping others and inspiring people, but also getting inspired ourselves. So it's like, it's just such a cool journey and experience, and I'm thankful for it every day. I mean, I told Mandy, I was like, one thing I really wanted to mention was that during, this past year with the pandemic and everything being shut down, where we didn't really have our music for, livelihood or being able to play shows. And just a struggle there for a lot of people and everything, but, definitely our music industry. And the podcast has been such a blessing because it gave us something to look forward to every week. We were still in contact with people all over the world, meeting new people that we maybe never met before. So very blessed to have the podcast. I'm very excited to see what's going to hold for us in the future.
That resonates so much with me and just the studio in general, because it's our goal to give, our kids a voice. And when they have that void back at home, or they're in unsafe, environments, we want to be that safe space for them. And like you said, when your shows were being taken away from you, you still had that voice through the podcast. And that's something that I don't think people realize how powerful it really is. Just, I can't imagine what it was like to move to a new city, and especially move to a different country and start. What did that look like for you guys?
Yeah, well, for me, I've been doing music all my life. And so it is kind of wild to look out here, and I'm looking at Edmonton, the cityscape, and this is where it all started. But for me, it was always just like this push with my soul that I needed to do more, and I needed to go and experience. And so making the leap to Nashville was absolutely scary. I did it on my own, but I knew that I was guided in a divine light of that's where I needed to go to be the best version of myself and to grow and to be uncomfortable. Through the whole thing, like, I can genuinely say my purpose of going to Nashville was never like, I want to be huge and famous and all these things. Like, I just wanted to create music and have that outlet for myself while also inspiring people around me. And whether that meant like just going into a writing room and being fun and inspirational with my, co-writers, to then, being in the studio and getting to learn that aspect and being inspired and inspiring my producer, to then releasing music to the world and being able to do that. And I had kind of saw my journey unfold as I, grew and matured, to then me writing my song called Dreamcatcher, which is about going out there and doing your soul's desire and making it happen and falling in love with life. And just, if you're out there pursuing a dream and then also sprinkling that and inspiring other people, then you're already on your path and you're making it happen. And if you can hold true to like what your purpose and what your passion is, it's then you're inspiring yourself, which then inspires everyone around you. So that was my journey.
My journey was a little different than Mandy's, as I didn't always know that I was going to work in the music industry. I grew up doing sports and all that. So I went to school for exercise science thinking I was going to do physical therapy. And I tell everybody I had a young life crisis, because I woke up one day at working in the therapy office and I was like, this just isn't for me. I ended up telling my parents and my family, I was like, I had visited Nashville a few times. I'm like, I'm going to move to Nashville. And they were like, okay, like if that's really what you want to do, we'll support you. Like, music, poetry, writing has always been an outlet for me. I just never realized that it could be a career or something that like I could pursue. I want to work in the music industry because I know music for me is an escape, and it's something that I know I can use and I can help people. So I want to be a part of making that happen. I want to be a part of making the shows happen and being behind the scenes and working with the artists and, creating that for other people to be able to come and experience. So, and now I've allowed my creative side to come out. It's been poking at me for years. And now I get to use that, like we said, to help others. And that's truly, anything that I could say throughout my life, and Mandy as well, is like, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to make a difference. But it's like, how do you make a difference? It starts with you. You gotta figure out what you're passionate about, and then you go forward.
You said the creative world is your outlet, and I said earlier about giving a voice to the kids that are in hurting, basically. And the studio's mission is to be that for them. So we want these kids to be able to walk alongside mentors like yourselves that have lived and breathed the journey, and they are realizing that you can put a pencil to paper and that can be a career, or you can get behind the lens and that can be a career. Your story is safe to share, and it can also be a career. And so we want to be able to empower them by partnering with artists like yourselves, or, painters or dancers, other musicians, filmmakers. It's all encompassing the whole collaborative world of what is art. And so I love that that's what you guys are already out doing, and you realized it at such a young age and just have pushed through and persevered. And, I say Nashville is cutthroat, but man, I'm not even in it. And your passion, it just speaks for itself. But one question I would ask is, has your music, Mandy, helped you heal or come to a place where you feel like you have used it to become a better person?
Well, man, that's such a great question. And Amanda, I just got to say, with what you're doing, it's so beautiful, because looking back, I never had the support really and the foundation for pursuing my arts. And so it was always such a hobby-ish thing. I was singing ever since I was little. So naturally music and that was just a part of my journey. But yeah, I didn't know that it could be a career. I honestly used it as a glorified hobby, which was helping me get through and grow. But growing up, it's like, I didn't really have that. And I actually had a lot of pushback from, different teachers and different people in my life, not my family. My family has always been very supportive, but other people from the outside that didn't really understand who I was, kind of pushing me back and being like, that's not realistic. What are you really going to do? And thankfully I had that spark within my soul, and, my angels watching over me to be like, no, Mandy, do this and write those songs and play that. And, in high school, when a lot of the kids were out partying and doing that outlet, I was on the road with my band or with my guitar, and I was out doing singing competitions and playing, little festivals. And that was my outlet. I'm just so grateful that I had that spark, because I didn't really have a foundation. But that being said, I just look back and it's so many times where my music has just saved me. And I listen to songs that I wrote when I was like, you know, a teenager, and these were pretty mature songs talking about, you know, heartache, sometimes death, or, you know, different traumas that happen. And I was just writing through it and then being able to spread it out to those around me, and doing healing, but not really understanding exactly to the depth of what I was doing. It's now amazing looking back after all these years and being like, oh, like pretty excited and proud for myself to do that. Nashville then was a huge launching pad for me to realize like, oh, I can make this into a career, and music and creativity is, you know, it is something that you can do and be happy and passionate. And I think the whole inspiration part of it is just the big launch. But it's definitely been a huge healing process for me. And even now, as I realize it more, I'm like sitting down with my guitar and like, okay, let's write these emotions, like no more hiding. So yeah.
And along that same line is like, I love what you're doing with the studio and everything. Like I literally had chills when you were just talking about it being a space for young kids, especially struggling with, you know, domestic violence and all that. I mean, to not have a safe space to go. I mean, I've always had a good family, like Mandy said, a supportive family. So it's very hard to think of like being able to do the things that we've done without having that support system. So I literally love what you're doing with the studio. And I think that is amazing. And it's going to be so good for our future generations and for them to have that creative space. My journey has been a healing journey, and maybe I didn't realize it until just recently, but like I was always writing songs too when I was younger, but like, you know, just in my little notebook, like writing songs, writing poems, writing, you know, stories. And like, I've always loved painting and the arts, and I always took extra classes for that and everything. But it was like, you know, going to college, you know, parents or teachers were like, let's do the stable thing. Let's figure out what's the stable thing, you know? And so like, obviously it took me a little longer to get back into my creative space, but I have learned that I thrive through writing and through creating. So I have really been on that journey as well with I started a poetry page, and I'm hoping it is helping others too. And I have gotten some good responses from it. And, you know, it was just the way where I like called Mandy one morning and I was like, I'm having this itch where I'm like, something's telling me I need to start a poetry page. I need to put my words out there and hopes that whatever, you know, I may be feeling or going through, that it can help somebody who's going through something similar. So that's kind of where my journey has led me to this moment. And what's really cool is with Mandy learning like meditation music and stuff. And I obviously, Mandy's gotten me a lot into my spiritual side as well. And we want to create meditation together where we use her music and my words, and we kind of combined, you know, and it's going to be, I'm really excited for it, but that's kind of where our healing is taking us next too, with the podcast also.
That's fantastic. And you just said, like, I'm hoping it's helping someone. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you'll never know. You'll never know until you put it out there. And then you'll also never know who it's reaching and who it's helping. The words that people write just hit me.
Yeah.
And I find my own journey through that. And you're saying, you know, now you're using your gift to find healing in the spiritual side. And what maybe the world doesn't know is also, Mandy, you're starting to practice more into that health and wellness world of using your music as meditation. And you were just saying now you're going to put your words in poetry. I love that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. Well, I've always, writing music and performing, that's the core of my being. But I found this huge spark in Nashville with production, and sending all the love to my producer, Simon, because that guy, such an open heart, and was so welcoming to have me in the studio. Like I probably spent 99% of the time that the record was being worked on. Like I've been in the studio helping him produce. And I know he just leaned over to me one day and he's like, you have an ear for production. You need to lean into it more. And, and I was like, all right, let's do this. So I took a production course with him and just started playing around with it. It's been nice because with that, learning all that then helped me to be able to edit the podcast that we have. So I was learning that way, but I just always felt this niche this push that my music needed to do more than just be a song on the radio. And I know that it inspires people, and Dreamcatcher was a huge launch for that, but there is such power and knowledge that comes from knowing how music actually resonates in the body and how vibration and tones can actually heal. And so I've really started to learn about meditation music and peaceful music and how that can really transform us. And so I've been my own kind of guinea pig on that and using it. And it's amazing the different, like, to know that the different notes on the keyboard are different notes within our bodies, you know? And so depending on what key you're pressing, that is helping an area in our body to vibrate and to come out and express. So I, over the past year and a half, have been working on creating meditation music, and it's been a process. I know the first couple ones that I created, poor Carly being my guinea pig for that. I'm now starting to produce music for healers and my friends that do yoga up here for their courses, and it's been a great response. So it's just, I've had different signs come to me over the years that it's like, Mandy, your path is more healing music, so jump in there. And ever since coming home, that's been my big goal. So I'm jumping in, and I feel great. It's another way and a deeper way of like genuinely healing through music, and very excited to be putting Carly's poetry to it, because she has beautiful words, and what an amazing way to collaborate and then put that out there to the world. So yeah.
Well, I'll be your first, what is it, purchaser, or subscriber, or you can use me as a guinea pig too. And I know of a studio that's going to be opening that needs that. So maybe we can have you down and do it in person. No, that is a component though. And I was talking with somebody just the other day about how our society has just gotten into this bump and grind mentality that we just have to go, go, go. And we have to consistently be busy because we, one, don't want to face our emotions that we're feeling, or two, busy is the new norm. When really we're more successful and more productive if we can just take a step back, breathe, and then go. You know, we're more productive when we're awake, and our society is sleeping right now. And so I just love that you're using the music to find that peaceful place in your actual physical body. We're all in pain. We're all in pain, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, professionally. We're all in pain. And so if we can find that space, I just love that you are already there. And so are there instances, or are there people that you know that you've specifically reached out to help? Like, how have you used your giftings to help others?
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful question.
Throughout my entire life, that I've always been, I've been someone that my friends come to, and people kind of confide in me and come to for advice. And I haven't quite figured out why that was until I feel like recently, where I do have a knack for putting words to things, and for really being there for people and helping them. And so I think that, like, through this journey and everything, that like the podcast and me starting my poetry page, I feel like I'm finally getting into the part where I'm going to actually be making a difference. Like, I'm finally getting to the point in my life where I'm confident, and I know that like my words or things that I can help others with are actually going to resonate, you know? And so that's such a good question. I mean, like, and that's all I hope, is that I really, truly am doing the bottom line is I really am doing this for others, along with healing myself. But like, whenever Mandy and I collab, or whenever we interview someone, or we even started a thing on our page called Feature Dream Catchers, because there's so many people that we want to feature. Everybody that has their own story is just as important. So it's like, we want to make sure to put that out there, so that if somebody's going through something similar, they're like, hey, look at this example of this person, you know? And so I think just like using mine and Mandy's, both of our gifts together, and using the podcast and using my writing and Mandy's music, like, I feel like right now is the part of my life where I'm going to actually start seeing that I'm helping others.
Yeah. Well, I can say, and as Carly was saying that too, I wanted to say that what's been really interesting in my journey is that the biggest person that I have been able to help, and that I feel like my journey is super impacting, is my mom. And just to say, like, my mom is such a beautiful soul, and I owe so much of my compassion and my strength and my willpower to go forward and do what I do because of my mom. And she grew up not having the best home life, and which I didn't really know about until even recently. And I feel like a huge part of my journey and even coming home and being the person that I am today was to help my mom and give back to her, to help her blossom. And it's been such an amazing thing. I've been home for about 8 months now, and just to see her transformation and inspiration of growth and healing has just been so phenomenal. So if my mom was already radiating at such a beautiful, vibrant state, she's now just glowing, and she's doing the work, and now her and I are stronger than ever and inspiring each other to go out and help heal. And so to me, that's the most amazing person that I've been able to help so far.
Well, you guys aren't busy at all, are you? You just have nothing going on in your lives. Good Lord.
Naps all the time.
Well, I was gonna kind of ask this, because there's a world out there who's just going to either ignore this mission or ignore that this is a need for our country, but just individuals themselves, because the word healing is a word that gets kind of pushed to the back. There's a population out there that don't think that they have hurting hearts, and healing is organically putting your heart in a place where you just said you become stronger. What does that word healing for you guys look like? How could you break that down for somebody that might just be like, that's icky or sticky. I don't want to go there.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such an amazing thing to touch on, because it is I feel like in past generations, there's so much have been you just go, you forget something happened. It's in the past, you go forward, and right now it's such a beautiful time, because there's more and more people waking up to this form of no, hey, we need to heal these part of ourselves, because a lot of this trauma and neglect that we had in the past can manifest into disease and hurt in the body. And we're seeing that so much with our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation. And, I think, some older generations think that we're all crazy right now, but there's just such a huge part, even small things that went on in our past. Little thing that, somebody said in school when you were in grade 3, or, I can still remember, and it's still a trauma in the subconscious. And so not that we have to unravel these things and make a huge deal about them, but to understand that there are even little things. If there's not a huge thing, there's little things that are there that can build up within us. And it's just to look back and be oh, hey, I'm going to rewrite that, or work on why that's still bugging me. It's to heal that. It's just so beautiful. It's the freedom. It's that going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I feel like. So
yeah.
I love
and
that.
and for healing, for me, I feel like it's really truly been sitting with those emotions that you don't want to sit with. You truly have to feel that sadness, feel that anger, feel the frustration, feel the just kind of feel every emotion, so that you can now you can't feel happiness without sadness. You can't feel, you know what I mean? So it's kind of going through each one of those experiences, like Mandy said, that we maybe never realized had really impacted us that much, but kind of sitting with that and being why did this impact me so much? Why did this make me feel the way that it did? I will no longer accept that, those kinds of feelings into my life. And it's a moving forward through it. And I think our parents' generations was just oh, you don't deal with it. You don't talk about it. We're just going to keep going and everything's going to be fine. But our generation, I feel like there's such a movement to be let's talk about what is happening. Let's feel what we're feeling and not be judged. No one can tell you how you feel. And let's work through it, let's find the outlets that will help ourselves work through those emotions, so.
That's good. There's a reason why our generation has coined the phrase "feel the feels."
Exactly.
I think it should be a mandatory thing that we all have to sit and watch that movie. Is it Inside Out?
Yes.
I think we should all have to watch it before either we get to adolescence or before we become parents or whatever it is our journey takes us on. We need to watch that movie because it's such a good representation of feel the feels. And they're not out to get you, but you got to feel them so you don't harbor them for later. And that's, again, the mission behind what the studio is about, is to break that cycle, because there's a percentage out there, and it's a high percentage of children who have witnessed, maybe not even been in an abusive situation, but have witnessed one, that will become abusers themselves. And if they're not given an outlet to be able to express what that has done to them, that percentage is so high and it's growing. And that's a scary, scary, scary fact because one, the pandemic, two, financial hardships, and three, just not being able to get out of the house. These numbers are growing and it's scary to realize that. And so I just want to, comment on everything you guys have said today that has truly been the mission of heArt Studios. I want to like paint all your words on the walls when we get the space built. But everything that you guys are doing is so key. But to think about that time when you were going, what am I going to be when I grow up? What did that look like for you? And if you could go back to maybe it's your 10-year-old self and tell them one thing, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Yeah, well, especially at the age of 12 and, getting in, that's really when we start to like grow into our own and have our own voices. And that's when we start to get the pushback from some people of our outer worlds. And it's my advice looking back is just know that the journey is not as hard or as easy as others are going to tell you it is. The journey is what you make it and what you believe it is. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be easy times. It's all of it, but it's genuinely what you make of it. And if you have a passion and a fire within you that just, you have a dream and you want to go for it, pursue it. The world is your oyster. And especially at this time, we live in the most beautiful time that if you have an idea of what you want to go out there and dream and catch, it's doable. We have the internet, we have connections around the world. We can do anything we want. It's beautiful. So don't be afraid. Your journey is what you make of it, and just do it. Make and pave your own path if you need to. So
at 10 years old, I wanted to be an astronaut. I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a police officer. I wanted to be like anything possible. I wanted to be a painter. It just imagination, creativity. And that's something we want to make sure that like, as a child, you fulfill those creative moments and imagination. And like, if you want to be an astronaut, then make yourself an astronaut costume and pretend like you're flying into space and really just hone in on that imagination and that creativity. And honestly, like Mandy said, like, don't be afraid to go after, if you're passionate about something, like go after it. You can do it. And the biggest thing for me, I feel like too, growing up is I didn't have enough confidence in myself. And that is something I would look back and be like, believe in yourself, because if you believe in yourself, nobody can tell you differently of what you want to do. Like if you believe in yourself and what you are passionate about, then you're going to go out and you're going to make things happen. And it might not be in the way that you saw it happening, but the journey is so much more worth it. And then you'll reach your destination eventually, but it's honestly all about the journey. Mm-hmm. So just go out and do it. Chase your dreams, live your passion.
I love
it. I got.
Gosh, I'm like, my work is done here. Let's just wrap. That's a wrap. No, thank you guys so much. And the mission again behind heArt Studios is that we're going to be partnering with different artists and different people in the creative professions. And so we'll want to be reaching out to, your music demographic and even your production graphic demographic and what the podcast looks like. And so if you're an artist out there who's watching this and you feel led to be a part of this mission, I definitely just encourage you to shoot one of us an email or DM us on Instagram or Facebook and just say, hey, I want to get involved, because we're constantly looking for people that are going to be able to come in and share their talents with our kids. And that might look like 2 hours a day. It might look like a week at a time. We'll work around people's schedules, but we're really excited to be able to expand the creative industry in Nashville across all the genres. But obviously to do so, it comes at a cost. And so we're fundraising right now. We're looking to purchase a space or build a space. And so that's what we're doing right now, is just fundraising. And if you have people that that are in positions to be able to give, we are always accepting donations online. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. I really, really felt it with you guys, and that means a lot to me. So.
No, thank you, Amanda. Yes. You're so beautiful, and it's just like you're glowing and radiating, because you are creating such a beautiful space, and you're changing the lives of so many people, and we are just so behind you. So, girl, we love you to pieces.
Thank you for everything you're doing, and I'm so excited for you.
Love that. All right, you guys take care.